O planejamento de L'Enfant refletiria as crenças de Washington. O presidente maçom pediu que a cidade ficasse num quadrado de exatamente 15 quilômetros.
The city was designed scientifically and geometrically. Why? To send a very important message. That unlike the old order, where the reliance was on religion mainly to govern the affairs of the people, under the new order, the reliance is going to be mainly on reason, the scientific method, geometry, to govern the affairs of the people.
Muitos se envolveram na criação da cidade. Thomas Jefferson traçou o mapa inicial, um padrão quadriculado. L'Enfant acrescentou as ruas radiais que partem inclinadas de pontos centrais, como o do Capitólio. Andrew Ellicott, Benjamin Banneker e outros também contribuíram. Nenhum deles era maçom. Mas para os membros da fraternidade, o resultado reflete uma visão maçônica do país.
It reflects ideals of architecture and masonry espoused by the fraternity. You can see the various symbols of geometry that we use in Freemasonry. The triangle, the concept of the three. The square, the concept of the four.
Os maçons usam várias formas e símbolos para iniciar os novos membros na confraria.
The Masons in the 1700s understood the power of symbols to communicate deep psychological ideas, complex political ideas. They're almost Zen-like in how simple they appear and yet how profound they might be. Some of them even the scholars and experts haven't decoded.
O mais conhecido símbolo maçônico é o compasso ligado ao esquadro. Esses instrumentos simples dos pedreiros medievais lembram que os maçons devem agir honestamente e viver uma vida moral e comedida.
It is actually impressive, the posture of the Freemasonry in society. They are apparently honest men, well-educated and generous. If you don't know anything about it, you're gonna say they deserve to hear a thank you from our human race. But if you know what's behind the curtains, you'll see history shows the very opposite. When we see a homeless beggar in the streets, we instantly get all disgusted and think, yuck, this is sick. Or maybe, poor lad, he should help himself better. But when we see this businessman, who's obviously well succeeded, we instantly think, well, this is an example for our society. Somebody who's accomplished a lot in life, he probably deserves to be where he is. Well, this is the so-called free world that the Freemasonry has created and fed for all over these years, manipulating the masses and pushing day after day into the minds of the people the false concept of justice and an overcoming feeling towards the system itself, glorifying the winners and humiliating the losers. Now, is this really the right concept of freedom? Is this justice? Have you heard that the wealth of the entire world is concentrated today in the hands of 1% of the population? And that means this 1% has so much money they could feed and clothe the entire world for many centuries. But of course they aren't going to do that. They're evoluted and superior people. They know the great secret. Now let me tell you the great secret of Freemasonry. People eat shit and drink piss for them to have caviar, perhaps champagne.
O maçom Akram Elias acha que o compasso e o esquadro estão presentes na arquitetura da capital. As formas e símbolos integrados à cidade são do tempo de Washington, mas continuaram a se desenvolver ao longo dos séculos.
The top of the compass is the Capitol. One axis of the compass goes to the White House. The other one is from the Capitol to the Jefferson Memorial. And then the square is from the Lincoln Memorial to the White House, Lincoln to Jefferson. For this square and compass to be completed, the Jefferson Memorial needed to be where it is today. And you know, that part of the river was landfilled for about 6 years, from 1933 to 39, under Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Oops, happened to be a Mason, by the way, but I don't know. It's probably coincidence. Of course it's coincidence.
Nem todos os maçons concordam.
Now, Akram and I do not see eye to eye, and he's going to give you this lengthy explanation of how Washington was moved by his Masonic ideals to incorporate the 10-mile square as a symbol of the perfection of the city, the perfection of the United States government, all based upon Masonic ideals. If you take any rectangular grid pattern, you superimpose on it a radial design, you cannot avoid creating something that will look like a square and compasses. And so, no, I don't see him there at all.
It's like an Etch-a-Sketch. You start to trace things. If you go really far out, you're going to see any conceivable Masonic symbol is there somewhere.
I can look at the streets of Washington and also find a piggy and a horsey. I don't think they're there.
Lower the stove!
Inspirada ou não pela maçonaria, a nação celebrou a fundação da nova capital com muito entusiasmo. E os maçons tiveram um papel central nesse momento.
In 1793, the Freemasons were asked to lay the cornerstone of the United States Capitol.
Washington himself, dressed in his full Masonic regalia, performs a Masonic ritual which includes libations of corn, wine, and oil.
Now, maize is a symbol of abundance, of prosperity. Oil is a symbol of peace. And wine is a symbol of happiness.
Remember that all this was also used in the rituals of Baal and other Babylonian gods. There are also many other evidences of the worshipping to Baal in Washington, D.C., including a statue that represents his rebirth from the ashes. It's called the Awakening. As you can notice, it's a bearded man, exactly like in the ancient images of the god Baal.
Notice again this Phoenician version of Baal, as a bearded man with strong features. Could Baal have been the model for the bearded male images that appear throughout Washington, D.C.? Take note of this image, with ears of corn carved into the hair. According to legend, Baal was once slain by the god of death and taken into the underworld. But at some point, he was resurrected, or as it is sometimes called, awakened. At Haines Point in Washington, D.C., is found this mysterious statue of a bearded giant rising up out of the ground. Or perhaps out from his grave. The statue is called the Awakening. According to the Masonic Encyclopedia, another symbol for resurrection is the Egyptian obelisk, which is the shape of the Washington Monument. The word obelisk is sometimes translated Baal's shaft, or the shaft of Baal. As a result, critics of Masonry argue that Baal, not Yahweh, is the real God to whom Masons perform their ceremony.
May corn, wine, and oil, and all the necessaries of life abound among the people of the world. And may this building be continued and preserved to the latest ages.